Hey guys, I want to do a quick video of end of day reporting. So I'm going to go up and just click on end of day. I'm going to do Lubbock and Grapevine today for just some two examples. Lubbock is how most of you will do your end of day. Grapevine uses Tip Network, so it changes things just a little bit. On Lubbock, you'll notice at the top we have some values up here. We have our labor dollars, our labor percentage, gross sales voids, and accountability number, and then our cash over short for the day. If you want to know where those values come from, you can click on these little question marks. And it's going to show you the formula for coming up with our accountability number for cash over short. These match up with the Brink sales summary report that we do. So this shouldn't look too different from that report. Your cash over short is actually reversed right now. It should be deposit minus accountability. We have a ticket in to get that fixed, so it should be fixed early next week. So just know that those two will fix by the time you get to working on this. Over to the left, you kind of have a quick menu. So if I want to go down to my gross sales, I can click on gross sales and it'll scroll for me. If I want to go to my discounts or if I want to go all the way back up to my deposits, it'll scroll quickly. You can always scroll with your mouse or click and drag just like normal. So things, just to go through it, we have our deposits. Managers, you can talk about who opened, who is my mid, and who is my closer, just for accountability. We have our paid out and paid ins, which is where you'll do a predominant of your work. Comments are kind of like shift notes. You can put notes here if you'd like. We have our gross sales. All of these numbers get populated from the Brink report. First couple of times, if you want to validate those numbers, you're more than welcome to. We've been validating for the last month or so, and they seem to be coming across correctly. We have our voids, same thing, which is auto-populated. Complaints, we're not ever going to do. Brink doesn't use that, so don't worry about that. Your discounts, your labor dollars, your hours, and your amounts. Your gift cards and your gratuities. Gratuities we'll do something with here in just a second. And then we have our credit card receipts and our taxes. So speaking of that gratuities, this is something that we're going to actually give back to the girls, so we need to create a paid out for that. So I'm going to copy that value and I'm going to go up to paid out. And on paid out, I'm going to select gratuity. I'm going to do gratuity 18%, type in that amount, and hit add entry because we're about to pay that out. Another thing we can do as far as talking about tip share, let's do tip share collected. And you can do this per individual. So if you want to type in, maybe Sarah's name here and then create one for Monica and then create one for each individual person, you're more than welcome to. For this example, I'm just going to do the amount that they had on their data file for that day, which was $117.92. And that's a paid in because we're collecting that amount. And then so far it says our accountability number is 270.96. We don't have any PCRs, so that would be a paid out, which I will show you here in just a second when I do grapevines. And then we do have a deposit. So I'm going to go over and we're going to look at the data file for that day. If you notice, the cash due is 270.96, but their deposit was 250 for that day. So I'm going to come over here and do my, let's go to deposits. I'm going to do my PM deposit. We're going to say 250. And we're going to add that in. You'll notice the accountability was 270.96 and we have 20.96. Like I said, this math is backwards right now. It eventually will be 20.96 in the negative, which would match up with their data file of 20.96 here. So just to verify that those numbers are coming across correctly. That auto saves, you don't have to do anything after that. They are done for the day. They'll walk away and that's all they have to do. You don't have to type all this into a sales thing. So that's good. Let's look at Grapevine. They're a little bit different. So this is Grapevines for the 23rd. We're going to do similar things. Things that we're not going to do is the gratuity of 18% because they use Tip Network. So it's a little different. They're not subtracting that value out. So we will still do a paid deposit. We're going to do a Tip Network paid in. And then we're going to do, they did have some examples of PCRs that we're going to do. And then they also did FUTA, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So for Fuda, let's go and we'll do a paid in. And right now we don't have Fuda as a drop down. That we also have a ticket in for that, so hopefully I'll get that in here shortly. I'm just going to use Checks for Ashley as an example. I'm going to type in FADA Fuda sales, and their paid in amount for that day was $640.11. And we can go over to their data file and double check that amount. If we come over to Fuda, where are we at? We have $640.11. Then they have a subtraction in our data file of the credit card sales from Fuda, which were $571.49. So I'm going to go back over and I'm going to do, this was a paid in, so I'm going to do a paid out. Again, I will have a drop down for that. Fuda credit cards, and the amount was $571.49. Okay, so we had our paid in and paid outs for Fuda. Now we want to do Tip Network. Tip Network is going to be a paid in. I'm going to use this for right now. I will create one for Tip Network so it doesn't get confusing. Not Tip Network, Tip Network. And then for their Tip Network that day, they did $949.79. And again, they can do that individually per each person, however they want to do that. I think more specific is probably better for accountability, but we can talk about that later. So we have our paid in for that. We did our Fuda, and then they did have a couple of PCRs, so we're going to do paid out for that. We do have a PCR value. They did one for Fuda. They didn't detail any other than that, so hopefully when they did their invoice entry, they had more detail. We'll add that. And then they had another PCR for gas for their catering van. And that was $50. All right. So then in theory, our deposit should be $431.41. So let me go over to Grapevines and we're going to look at what their deposit was for that day. It says cash due of $431.41. That's awesome. That's what we want it to be. Their deposit was $427. So we're going to come up to deposits. I'm going to do my PM deposit for $427. And then you'll know a difference. Notice the difference of $441. Again, that formula will be fixed and we'll have a negative $441. Let's just verify that's what we see on the data file too. And I'm merely showing you the data file just to let you know that everything that we do at end of day is matching up with the data file so far. And we're going to validate that as we go these first couple of weeks just to make sure everything works out great. That's about all I want to cover right now. We're going to run into some situations that maybe I didn't cover on this video, but this will at least get you started for doing your end of day every day. If you do have questions, just reach out and we'll get it handled. Thanks a lot.